Hi, I'm Serban, and today I will briefly walk you through serverless architecture, and we'll also get into a quick demo. You've probably already heard of serverless by now, and if not, I'll explain the main idea, the advantages and the disadvantages, and we'll decide together if you should use it for your application or not. As the title states, serverless is meant to help you build more agile applications without having to worry about the server. Whether you choose AWS, Azure, or GCP, the main idea is focused on automatic scaling, building high availability, and the pay-for-value billing model. Why use serverless computing? Well, over classic cloud applications, it offers greater scalability, more flexibility, and faster releases. Moreover, if it is properly managed, developers do not need to worry about purchasing, provisioning, and managing backend servers, altogether with a low cost. However, what's left for them to do, and also very important, is to efficiently implement the functionalities when it comes to performance, but that's a topic for later. If you decide to build an application using the serverless infrastructure, you won't have to worry when the user base grows or usage increases. If a function needs to execute in multiple instances, the provider's resources will start up, run, and close them as needed, often using containers. The main downside of a traditional cloud application over the serverless one is the fact that it usually has a fixed amount of resources allocated to it, so it can be overwhelmed by a sudden increase in usage. As any existing web service, serverless has its own pros and cons. I'll list the downsides in the order of personal importance, judging by how I've encountered them. This architecture is not built for long-running processes. Because serverless providers charge for the amount of time the code is running, it may cost more to run an application with long-running processes in a serverless infrastructure compared to a traditional one. It's not that easy to debug your code in this type of environment. The reason for that is because the devs don't have visibility on the backend process. Also, there are times when additional resources are not booted up, and because they need an amount of time before they are used, this might affect the performance. Should you use a serverless infrastructure? To make a long story short, if your main goal is to make your lightweight application available on the market as quickly as possible in a really flexible and easy to update manner, then this type of infrastructure might give the help you actually need. Although, if your application is significantly large with quite predictable and constant workloads, you might want to consider spending time and money configuring a traditional application because it's most likely to be a less expensive solution. Now let's get into a quick demo to show you how easy it is to deploy a serverless application. For today's session, we are going to use a framework which is actually named by the architecture type and is called serverless. All you actually need for this is an AWS account because we are going to use Lambda as our serverless compute service. Here is the command which we are going to use for the installation. We are going to use the short version of the serverless command, which is SLS. Although I've already prepared a sample project to deploy, I'm also going to show you how easy you can actually create a template from scratch. By simply typing SLS, you can now select your template from the provided list. What we actually need for this tutorial is the AWS Python Flask API one. Let's give our project a name, add an organization, and pick the application for which we are going to use our template. In my case, these are already created, so I'm just going to select them. Now let's get a look at this template we've just downloaded. We've got a package.json file which contains the project's name, description, and its dependencies. And we got the file where we can find our serverless framework config. At the top, there are the project details that have been selected earlier, the web server gateway interface entry point config, our provider's details, the Lambda API function, and the required plugins. The app file consists of Flask's app declaration along with two routes and an error handler. Now let's move to a template which is a bit modified for this session. As you can see, it has the same structure with some small changes on one of its routes. Now let's take a look at the required plugins and see how we can actually get them installed. That's easy as well by using SLS plugin install and the plugin name. One last thing before deploying our app. In order to get this done, in your root, you should have a directory called .aws in which you should have a file called credentials. For now, I'm just going to display a sample file in order not to expose my account's credentials. So here's how your file should look like. Basically, all you need here is your AWS access key ID and your AWS secret access key. Once you got this set up, just go back to your project and run SLS deploy. This is going to take a few good seconds, and it is going to create a zip file with your project and its dependencies and upload it to S3. At the end of the deploy execution, we're expecting a block called service information, and we are going to focus on the endpoints. Let's copy that URL and perform a curl on it to see the output. Let's make some small changes to our app file and try to redeploy it. We'll do something really minor here, but obvious, and try to see how long it will take for our app to be redeployed. Now run another curl on the URL and there you have it. Your change deployed in a matter of seconds. Let's quickly check the AWS console to see what happened there. Once here, pick Lambda and let's have a look at our deploy function. Here you can see the source code, environment variables and other configuration details. Now if we jump into S3, we can see our bucket which has been created. That's it, you've deployed your serverless application. It doesn't get any easier than that. I hope you found this helpful and you now understand when to use serverless architecture. Make sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Till next time.